I don't think that I could hate the Minnesota Vikings schedule any more than I do. The schedule came out, and I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, this flippin' sucks. I don't like it. One bit. So that's what we're going to talk about on today's podcast. Plus, Caleb Williams, Bears quarterback, wanted to be a Minnesota Viking. That's crazy. Welcome into the show. Let me tell you about 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis because they remodeled our bathroom. And I want you to know the good news because they completely transformed our bathroom in 48 hours. And instead of cramming into a teeny tiny bathroom downstairs where we had to, piss and poop, take turns, get ready for work, get ready for school, do the whole shebang, we had a bathroom back in 2 days. And it was incredible. And it wasn't just a little touch-up. It was a complete remodel in our bathroom. The floors, the shower, the sink, the vanity, everything was done. Before, we had ugly blue floors, a step going into the shower, handrails everywhere, a moldy shower that we didn't have to worry about outsourcing. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis took care of everything. New floor, new tub, new surround, new vanity, new double sink. And it was absolutely the bathroom of our dreams in 48 hours. And we had our bathroom back in days, not weeks, not 68-week project. Plus, they have free consultations and affordable payment plans. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis will give you your bathroom masterpiece. Call them today. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. All right. Minnesota Vikings schedule. Week 1 at Chicago on ESPN. Monday night. Sucks already. I hate it. Monday Night Football. I hate when you have to wait until Monday night. For any week, but especially week 1. All right. Week 2, what do you got for me? Home versus Atlanta. Sunday Night Football, 7:20. Sucks. I hate late games. Give me a 12 o'clock. So, week 1, we need to wait all day Sunday and all day Monday until Monday night. And then we got to wait until Carrie Underwood is on the television until Sunday night. And then finally Sunday, week 3 versus Cincinnati. We got a 12 o'clock game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Finally. And then week 4 and week 5, back-to-back overseas games at 8:30 in the morning. Sucks. Hate it. This schedule is like the worst schedule that I've ever seen from the Minnesota Vikings before. Bye week, week 6. So the first 5 weeks of the season, the Minnesota Vikings have one 12 o'clock game. Week 7 versus Philadelphia, 12 o'clock. Week 8 versus Los Angeles, Thursday night, 7:15. And then week 9, week 10, week 11, week 12. We finally hit a stretch of games that are 12 o'clock games. 4-week stretch. And then Sunday, week 13 at Seattle, of course, 3:05. Week 14 versus Washington, 12 o'clock game. Week 15 versus Dallas, 7 o'clock game on Sunday night. And then we got a 12 o'clock game against the Giants, a 3:30 game against Detroit. Wait, what's that say? Oh, it's a Christmas Day game. That's why I was like 3:30 on a Thursday. Christmas Day, 3:30 game. And then to be determined, week 18 versus Green Bay, based on what the division looks like. If the Packers and Vikings are in a close, tight race, that will be another Sunday night football game. So you look at all of these nationally televised games. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At a minimum, I count 7 out of 17 nationally televised games, which is at least telling us something. The Minnesota Vikings have an intriguing roster that they believe will want to be viewed and watched nationally, with the additions defensively and offensively, with McCarthy stepping in as QB1. It is a compliment to the Minnesota Vikings organization for being an interesting team that many people will want to follow. But I hate nationally televised games because I like to go to church in the morning, talk about Jesus, hear about Jesus, come home, have a brunch, talk about Jesus, and then turn on a football game for a few hours at 12 o'clock. So I could not hate a schedule any more than I could hate a schedule this season, because we're going to find out really quickly if McCarthy can handle the spotlight of the NFL on NBC on Monday night. And he handled it well in college. Honestly, I think that stuff is overrated. But as far as difficulty of schedule goes, I've heard a lot of people talk about the meat of the schedule between week 7 and week 10. Philadelphia, Chargers, Detroit, Baltimore. That's the toughest part, without a doubt. But besides that, I think that with the Vikings having a 14-win season the year before, I don't think the schedule is as difficult as I would have imagined. The first 5 weeks of the year, there's only really one team that I'm like, and I think we could win that game. At Chicago, I like the Vikings to win that game. It's going to take time for Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson to figure it out. Home versus Atlanta, I like the Vikings. Home versus Cincinnati, that's the one game that makes me question. But I think the Vikings can win that game too. Home versus Pittsburgh in Ireland, and home versus Cleveland in London. I like the first 5 weeks of the schedule. That I think the schedule really benefits the Vikings. Bye week, home versus Philadelphia, at least got a chance. Home. If that's a road game versus Philadelphia, I don't think they have a chance. But because it's at home, they got a chance. Home versus Philadelphia, on the road Thursday night against Los Angeles Chargers. That's a tough back-to-back. To go home versus Philadelphia and then immediately have to go to Thursday night at the Los Angeles Chargers is a tough back-to-back. They will not win both of those games. The physicality of Philadelphia, and then you got to travel for a short week against the Chargers. That's tough. And then you have a short bye week, sort of, and then you go in at Detroit. That's an advantage to have those extra days of rest to go on the road against Detroit. And then home versus Baltimore again. You have a chance at home versus the Baltimore Ravens. So it really kind of sets up nicely that way. And then you got some division games at Seattle. I'm not afraid of Sam Darnold on the road. Home versus Washington. Again, you got a chance. The toughest matchups that the Vikings have this year versus Philadelphia, versus Baltimore, versus the Washington Commanders, all of those games are at home, which give the Vikings a legitimate chance to win. So the schedule really sets up nicely. And then you're at Dallas. That should be a win. At New York. And then you finish off the year home versus Detroit and home versus Green Bay. The schedule, as far as matchups go, set up very favorably for the Minnesota Vikings organization and for the players. The toughest matchups are on the home turf, and the easiest matchups, like New York and Dallas and Pittsburgh and Cleveland, are either on neutral fields or on the road. So I love the way that this sets up for the Vikings. Looking at the schedule, I think I saw the over-under to be 8.5. I would crush that over right now. For McCarthy stepping in as QB1, this schedule sets up perfectly, because the last thing that you would want is to have Philadelphia week 1, Detroit week 2, Packers week 3, Baltimore week 4. And sometimes the schedule sets up that way. But the schedule sets up easy at the beginning, gets tough in the middle, and then eases up again at the end, which is absolutely perfect for the Vikings situation. So, as far as scheduling goes, the only thing that Vikings fans can complain about is the start times and the nationally televised games, because that sucks. But as far as how the schedule sets up when we play specific teams and where they're at in the schedule, it aligns perfectly. All right, Caleb Williams. There was some breaking news yesterday because Seth Wickersham, an ESPN senior writer, a New York Times bestseller, a hell skier, a wedding guitarist, a Washington Post X-word answer, also an actor known for Draft Day, Joe Burrow's older brother. That's what his X description of himself is. It says, according to Seth Wickersham's new book, Caleb Williams told his father that he wanted to play for the Vikings after meeting Kevin O'Connell during the 2024 Combine. The book also details the Williams' doubts about playing in Chicago, who drafted him number 1. It says this in the story on ESPN. After an up-and-down final season at USC, Caleb Williams was unsure of what he wanted to do as he prepared for the 2024 draft. At the NFL Combine that year, he met with Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell. The two hit it off, and Caleb Williams began to dream of what it would be like to play for Minnesota. I need to go to the Vikings, he told his father. Let's do it, his father replied. But both Caleb and Carl knew that a trade to divisional rival was extremely unlikely. Bears GM Ryan Poles stood firm, telling Williams, we are drafting you no matter what. What's interesting about this is that Ben Johnson had already been solidified as the Chicago Bears head coach, and he is the offensive guru that 5 to 7 teams wanted their hands on. And he chose the Bears because Caleb Williams was on the Bears. And maybe Caleb Williams would share a different story now than he did back then or a few months ago when this story came out. It says, quarterback Caleb Williams was so concerned about being picked by the Chicago Bears in 2024 that he and his family weighed circumventing the entire NFL draft, consulting with lawyers to figure out a way around the league's collective bargaining agreement, while considering signing with the United Football League. Details from a forthcoming book reveal. Chicago is the place quarterbacks go to die, Carl Williams, Caleb's father, told Seth Wickersham. American Kings, a biography of the quarterback in the months before the 2024 NFL draft. They're not wrong. But if there was a time and a place for Chicago to get a quarterback that could finally throw for 4,000 yards, this would be the year to do it. This would be the coaching staff that would take a quarterback like Caleb Williams and get the best out of him. Because when you think about Chicago, you think about the Bears defense from the 1980s, you think about a team that loves its history. But this is the first time that I can recall in recent memory that the Chicago Bears have taken steps towards really renovating their organization with a fresh offensive spirit calling plays. So they are right. The Chicago Bears quarterback room and the Chicago Bears success at the quarterback position has not existed really ever. And if I was Caleb Williams, I would have tried to get out of there too. Because who wants to be the guy that steps into an organization and is the first to throw for 4,000 yards. That just sounds terrible. I want there to be success. I want there to be a history of consistent greatness that I can just step into and be a part of the fold. I don't want to be the guy that needs to overcome all of these obstacles within an organization to change the terrible history of it. So the fact that Caleb Williams wanted to be a Minnesota Viking is a testament to Kevin O'Connell and a testament to just how terrible the Bears organization has been over their course and history of it. And you think about his comments from his dad. The fact that he said Chicago is the place quarterbacks go to die. The fact that they sought lawyers and considered signing with the United Football League. They went to extreme measures to avoid being a part of the Bears organization. They did their due diligence in figuring out, okay, how can we get out of this shithole? How can we get out of this situation where quarterbacks never survive or thrive? So just an interesting story, a fascinating story from Caleb Williams' camp and this book that's about to come out, because he's only in year 2. To have this drama entering year 2 is probably not a good thing. When your organization is trying to overcome these obstacles, you hire this offensive guru, everything's supposed to come together, and then you got this drama that Caleb Williams is going to have to answer really all season long. It says you never wanted to play for the Bears organization. How do you feel about that now? I love the organization, first class facility. That's tough. Tough. The year that the Bears are supposed to compete for the NFC North, in their minds, and really in other people's minds too, they have this looming drama hanging over their shoulders. That sucks. Good for the Vikings, though. Thank you for watching, and thank you for making this podcast part of your day. Remember, 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. They will give you your bathroom masterpiece in 48 hours, and they'll also have free consultations and affordable payment plans. How do I know that? Because we're on it. We're on an affordable payment plan, and our bathroom is fully remodeled. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. Everyone have a great day, and thank you for making this podcast a part of your day.